The bustling terminal of JFK Airport buzzed with anticipation as passengers awaited boarding for Flight 327 to Los Angeles. Among them was Jordan Blake, a sharply dressed black man in his early 30s, carrying a sleek leather briefcase and wearing a calm demeanor. Today was special for Jordan. Not only was he traveling for an important business presentation, but it also marked his first-class experience, a personal milestone after years of hard work. As the announcement crackled over the PA system, passengers queued up, each eager to settle in. Jordan handed his boarding pass to the gate agent, who gave him a polite nod. "Enjoy your flight, Mr. Blake," she said with a smile. But as Jordan entered the aircraft and approached Seat 2A, a voice interrupted his thoughts. "Excuse me, sir. Can I help you?" Jordan turned to see Miss Karen Hensley, a veteran flight attendant with a crisp uniform and a scrutinizing gaze. "No, thank you. I think I've got it," Jordan replied politely, gesturing toward his seat. Karen stepped in front of him, blocking his path. "I don't think you understand. This is first class. Are you sure you're in the right cabin?" Jordan blinked, momentarily taken aback. "Yes, ma'am. Here's my ticket," he said, offering it for inspection. Karen barely glanced at it before snapping. "This must be a mistake. Please step aside while I sort this out." Passengers in nearby seats began to glance over, their curiosity piqued. Jordan felt the weight of their stares, but maintained his composure. "Ma'am, I assure you there's no mistake," Jordan said firmly but calmly. Her voice grew louder. "Sir, I'm asking you to return to economy. You're holding up the boarding process." The situation quickly escalated, and murmurs filled the cabin. Among the passengers was Lisa Grant, a young journalist sitting in 3C. Her instincts kicked in as she discreetly began recording the unfolding incident on her phone. "I paid for this seat, and I'm not going anywhere," Jordan declared, his tone unwavering. At that moment, the commotion drew the attention of Captain Richard Hayes, a seasoned pilot known for his no-nonsense leadership. Emerging from the cockpit, he surveyed the scene with a furrowed brow. "Is there a problem here?" the captain asked, his authoritative voice cutting through the tension. Before Karen could respond, Lisa stood up. "Captain, I think you should know this gentleman was being targeted unfairly. I have everything recorded." Karen's face paled as whispers rippled through the cabin. The captain turned to Jordan. "Sir, may I see your boarding pass?" Jordan handed it over without hesitation. Captain Hayes examined it carefully, then looked up with an apologetic smile. "Mr. Blake, it appears you're exactly where you're supposed to be. Please take your seat." Turning to Karen, his expression hardened. "Miss Hensley, a word in the galley. Now." Passengers exchanged intrigued glances, their anticipation building. Karen followed the captain reluctantly, her face flushed. Minutes later, the captain returned alone. Taking the intercom, he made a brief but shocking announcement. "Attention passengers, due to an incident involving improper conduct, one of our crew members will not be continuing this flight. We apologize for the disruption and thank you for your understanding." As Karen disembarked, escorted by airport security, a wave of quiet applause broke out among the passengers. Jordan took his seat, his calm exterior masking the whirlwind of emotions within. Lisa leaned over with a warm smile. "I'm Lisa, by the way. I'd love to hear your story." Jordan nodded, realizing this was only the beginning of a far bigger narrative. The plane had barely reached cruising altitude where the whispers in the cabin began to intensify. Passengers exchanged shocked glances, trying to piece together the drama they had just witnessed. Jordan, however, remained composed, though his mind raced with questions. Seated next to him, Lisa adjusted her phone, showing him the recording she had taken. "I've covered stories like this before, but seeing it firsthand was different," she said. "You handled yourself with a lot of grace back there." Jordan gave a tight smile. "Thanks. Didn't feel very graceful, but I've had practice staying calm in situations like these." Liza raised an eyebrow. "Situations like these?" Jordan hesitated, but something about Lisa's genuine curiosity made him open up. Let's just say this isn't the first time I've been judged before being understood. But I've learned that keeping your composure speaks louder than any argument. Lisa nodded, impressed. That's powerful. You know, this story could shine a light on something much bigger. Would you be willing to go on the record about what happened? Before Jordan could respond, the intercom crackled to life. Good afternoon, passengers. This is Captain Hayes speaking again. I'd like to personally thank you all for your patience earlier. To show our appreciation, we'll be offering complimentary meals and beverages for the duration of the flight. The announcement was met with cheers, but it was clear that most passengers were still buzzing about the earlier confrontation. As the flight continued, the incident began to take on a life of its own. Lisa wasn't the only one recording. Several other passengers had shared clips on social media, and by the time the plane landed in Los Angeles, #Flight 327 drama was trending. When the plane taxied to the gate, Jordan was met by a representative from the airline's corporate office. Mr. Blake, my name is Sarah Green. I'm the customer relations manager for the airline. I'd like to extend our sincerest apologies for what occurred earlier. We take matters like this very seriously. Jordan nodded, appreciating the gesture, but still unsure how to feel. Thank you, but an apology doesn't erase the experience. You're absolutely right, Sarah said. Which is why we'd like to meet with you to discuss how we can ensure this never happens again, not just to you, but to any of our passengers. As Sarah spoke, Lisa hovered nearby, taking mental notes. This was turning into a story bigger than she had anticipated. Later that evening, Jordan found himself sitting in a sleek office at the airline's headquarters. Across from him was the airline's CEO, Margaret Lawson, a no-nonsense leader with a reputation for swift action. Mr. Blake, she began, I want to personally apologize for the unacceptable behavior you endured. Karen Hensley's actions do not reflect our values or the experience we strive to provide. Effective immediately, she has been terminated. Jordan leaned back, his expression neutral. I appreciate the swift action, but this isn't just about me. It's about addressing a deeper issue of bias, one that clearly isn't limited to a single employee. Margaret nodded. You're absolutely right. And that's why we'd like your input on how we can implement better training and accountability across our organization. Jordan's eyebrows lifted in surprise. You're asking for my help? Yes, Margaret replied. You show incredible poise in the face of adversity. Your perspective could help us create meaningful change. Meanwhile, Lisa's story about the incident had gone live, garnering millions of views within hours. Headlines blared, "Flight attendant fired after racial bias incident on Flight 327." Social media was ablaze with reactions, many praising Jordan's composure and calling for systemic changes in the airline industry. Back at his hotel that night, Jordan's phone buzzed incessantly with messages of support. But one text stood out. It was from Lisa. I just saw a CEO's statement online. This is bigger than just one flight. If you're willing, I'd like to work with you on a broader piece about systemic bias and how individuals like you are driving change. Jordan stared at the message, a mix of exhaustion and determination washing over him. He knew this was far from over. With a deep breath, he typed back, "Let's do it." The following morning, Jordan woke up to a flurry of emails, texts, and social media notifications. Overnight, he had become a symbol of resilience and a catalyst for change. Among the messages were invitations from major media outlets, advocacy groups, and even influential figures commending him for his composure. Sipping his morning coffee, Jordan felt a mix of disbelief and responsibility. He had never sought the spotlight, but now it seemed unavoidable. Liz's message buzzed on his phone again. Can we meet today? I have a few ideas to discuss. A short while later, they sat across from each other at a quiet cafe in downtown Los Angeles. Liz placed a sleek tablet on the table, showing him a draft of her extended article. I've titled it, From Conflict to Change. How Jordan Blake stood up to bias and inspired a movement. What do you think? She asked, her eyes scanning his face for a reaction. Jordan chuckled softly. A movement, huh? I'm just a guy who wanted to sit in his assigned seat. Lisa leaned forward. It's bigger than that, Jordan. Your story is striking a chord because it's relatable. People see you and think, that could have been me. But what matters is what you do with this moment. Jordan nodded slowly, realizing she was right. So, what's the plan? Lisa grinned. I'm glad you asked. First, the article goes live this afternoon. Then, I'd like to work with you on a short video interview. Your voice needs to be front and center. And finally, I've reached out to some organizations that specialize in diversity training. They'd like to collaborate with you and the airline to create something impactful. Jordan was quiet for a moment, processing the whirlwind of events. I never thought I'd be in this position, he admitted. But if my experience can prevent someone else from going through the same thing, then I'm all in. The interview goes live. Later that week, Lisa's video interview with Jordan was uploaded to multiple platforms. In the video, Jordan recounted the incident, not with anger, but with a focus on the broader implications of bias and the importance of accountability. The truth is, this isn't just about me, Jordan said in the video. It's about creating a culture where everyone feels respected and valued, no matter their background. The video went viral within hours, sparking conversations across the globe. Hashtags like #RespectInTheSkis and #ChangeTakeHisFlight began trending, amplifying Jordan's message. Back at the airline headquarters. Meanwhile, the airline faced mounting pressure to address the incident more publicly. CEO Margaret Lawson announced a new initiative called Wings of Change, a comprehensive diversity and inclusion program. At the launch event, Margaret stood beside Jordan, acknowledging his role in sparking the initiative. Mr. Blake showed us the importance of listening, learning, and taking action. We're committed to making our airline a leader in inclusivity, Margaret declared. The program included mandatory training for all employees, partnerships with advocacy groups, and a public pledge to address systemic issues within the organization. The ripple effect. As weeks turned into months, Jordan and Lisa's collaboration grew. Together, they attended conferences, appeared on talk shows, and even co-authored a book titled Seats of Equality: How One Flight Changed the Skies Forever. The impact of their efforts extended beyond the airline industry. Other companies began adopting similar programs, inspired by the Wings of Change model. Jordan's story became a case study in corporate accountability and personal resilience. At one such event, an older man approached Jordan with tears in his eyes. My grandson watched your interview, he said. He's biracial, and he told me it made him feel proud and hopeful. Thank you. A legacy takes flight. One evening, as Jordan stood on the balcony of his apartment, overlooking the city lights, his phone buzzed. It was a message from Lisa. We've come a long way, haven't we? Jordan smiled, typing back, We have. But this is just the beginning. As he put his phone down, he realized that what started as an uncomfortable confrontation had turned into something far greater, a movement for respect, equity, and change.